And this is the new commandment Jesus gives, which combines all the other 10. A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. The second reading is from 1 John 5, verses 1 through 6. And it talks about the love of God and how we are to express it. Everyone who believes that Jesus is the Christ is born of God, and everyone who loves the Father loves his child as well. This is how we know that we love the children of God, by loving God and carrying out his commands. This is love for God, to obey his commands. And his commands are not burdensome, for everyone born of God overcomes the world. This is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. May the Lord bless the reading of his word.
Thanks be to God.
I went to Madison on Friday and had a little Mother's Day visit with my mom, because Sundays are not good days for me to do these things. But had a nice lunch with her and got to see my aunt and uncle and my sister Terry. And you know, we love our mothers, and we want to do things like this for them. And sometimes all we can do is give them a call or send them a card, but just we want to let them know that we love them. And you know, we owe them so much for helping to make us the people we are today. And you know, I think about my childhood, and I think about the things my mom said to me over the years, and you know, they're pretty much, I think pretty much moms all say the same things, don't they? For instance, I'll bet some of you have heard this good advice from your mothers. Don't talk with your mouth full. Always wear clean underwear in case you're going to be in a wreck. Don't cross your eyes or they will freeze that way. And this is a really good one to remember. Don't stick your tongue on really cold metal in the wintertime. Those are all important things to remember. And I'll bet you've heard some of these things too. Do you think this is a hotel? The maid is not going to come. Pick up your own clothes. Or, I'll give you something to cry about. Answer me when I ask you a question. Or the old favorite, and I've said this many times, don't make me come over there. And then there's the mother's curse. I hope you have children just like you. Mothers get mad just like anybody, don't they? But they love their children deeply, deeply, deeply. And today is a day when we honor our mothers. And, you know, mothers are so different, aren't they? But in important ways, they're a lot the same, too. Think about all the moms you know. There's the soccer mom who's continually, you know, providing the taxi service to get her child from one place to the next place. And the tiger moms who will do just anything in the world to make sure that her child makes straight A's and she can get into a good school. And then there are the overbearing mothers who micromanage every aspect of their child's life. And then there's the mothers who bake and make the homemade, beautiful Halloween costumes. And then there are the moms who work and they bring most meals home in a little red and orange bag from McDonald's. And there are moms who have the support of their families and extended families all around them, and they know they can always go to them. And then there are moms who are pretty much all alone except for their children. There are all kinds of moms, but for sure we know that each one of us had one, didn't we? you are never truly grown up, are you? You will always be their baby. At least that's how I think about my children. It offends them, but I still think of them that way as my babies. And many of us are moms as well, and we're all different too, aren't we? There is one thing, however, that is the same for just about every mom. We love our children more than anything on this earth, and we would just do almost anything to keep them safe and sound. And that's true for mothers from China to Africa, from Russia to Australia, and everywhere in between. Mothers have a special kind of love, and fathers do too. And when we look at the love parents have for their children, we see a model Christ gave us for Christ-like love. And that's why on this Mother's Day, we'll be talking about love. In our scriptures today, it tells us that just before Jesus was arrested and crucified, he is trying to make sure that his disciples understood exactly who he was and what he was there for, and how his message was all about love. The defining thing in Christ's ministry is love. So he's explaining to his disciples. He says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, all men will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." Under the old covenant of the Jewish church, if you just obeyed the laws and you didn't actively hurt anybody, that was considered enough. When Jesus gave them this new commandment to love, it meant that you had to go way beyond that. That we have to do everything in love. In fact, love is critical. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 tells us that without love, we have nothing at all. In the Message version, it says, without love, we are bankrupt. 1 John 5, 1 through 6 also tells us, everyone who believes that Jesus is the Christ born of God, and everyone who loves the Father loves his child as well. This is how we know that we love the children of God, by loving God and carrying out his commandments. That's how we show our love of God. In fact, this is love for God, to keep his commands, and his commands are not burdensome. Jesus was the Son of the Creator, the Father. Through Jesus, we see God most clearly, don't we? Through belief in Jesus Christ, we become children of God too, and we show our love to God by keeping his commands. And that is to love God and to love other people in all the ways that we can. Because we love God, we show our love to other people. And that doesn't just mean that we tolerate them or put up with them. It means that we're actively working for their good out of Christian love. We make a decision to love even the unlovable. And we have to keep making that decision over and over and over. As Christians, we're supposed to be all about love. People should see that in us. And that's why it's so appropriate to talk about love on Mother's Day. We love both our parents, but our mothers are usually our first source of love. And for some of us, our mothers are the best example we have of true self-sacrificing, Christ-like love. But some of you are wondering, well, what do you really mean when you say Christ-like love? Well, for one thing, Christ-like love is something you can rely on. It's not here today and gone tomorrow. God loved us so much that he gave his only son to die for us on the cross, that we can be saved. And Jesus willingly gave his life for that very reason. How much more can you love somebody? Paul tells us, true love never fails. Everything else will pass away, but not love. When somebody really loves you as Christ did, you know it. You don't have to ask. You don't have to wonder if it's going to fade. And when you have received love like that, it makes you a better person too, doesn't it? You know, those who love us those who love us the most give us the best model for Christ-like love. We know that no matter what happens, they're going to be there for us, to care for us, to protect us. I was watching a program on the Weather Channel the other day, and it was about this terrible tornado that had come through this town and just tore it up. In fact, 2 of them came through. And it was an interview with this woman, and she said they had been in their home and they saw the tornado was coming, and at the very last minute, her husband grabbed her and he just wrapped himself around her. And when the tornado hit, he was killed. But she was saved because his body protected her. Now that's Christ-like love. A friend of my daughter's, Casey Fairclough, was in a terrible accident last week, and what I was told that even though her injuries were much more severe, she was just freaking out when they were taking her babies away in the helicopter because she wanted to be there with her children in spite of her own injuries. That's Christ-like love. I read a story about a mother who'd been on a plane with her 4-year-old daughter, and there was a problem, and the plane crashed, and 150 people were killed. And the only person who survived was this little 4-year-old girl. And the reason she survived is that just before impact, the mother unbuckled her own seatbelt and wrapped herself around her daughter so that her daughter would live. That's Christ-like love, and it's a love that doesn't go away. That kind of love leads you to protect somebody else, even at the risk of your own life. Love like that makes you want to comfort someone, no matter what your own injuries are. This is the kind of secure and self-sacrificing love that we see in Jesus Christ. You know, as children, we all want to have that kind of love, don't we? When we grow up knowing that our parents love us enough, so much that they'd even die for us, we have a security and a peace in our hearts and love to give other people too. But you know, not all kids have that, do they? In families where the parents are just devastated by drug abuse or alcohol abuse or serious psychological illnesses, even the natural instinct to love that parents have can be lost. And I can't imagine how it would be to live in a family and not feel loved and protected. But sadly, many children do live in families like that today. And that's why it is so important for each of us to love and mentor children who aren't loved at home. It's important. Sometimes the most important mother a child has is not their biological mother who gave birth to him or her. It's the one who loves and mentors them and lets them know that they care about them. Someone once said, it's easy to become a mother, but it's hard to be a mother day by day. Every kid needs a listening ear and a shoulder to cry on, don't they? Every kid deserves to feel loved and cared for by somebody. Every kid needs to feel protected. Christ-like love is like that. It is secure and unbreakable. You can depend on it. Christ's love was also self-sacrificing, like the husband who covered the wife of his body with his body in the tornado, or the mom who protected her child in the plane crash. Jesus gave his life for us so that we might be saved. Christ-like love is also supportive, encouraging, and full of hope. You know, sometimes we see insensitive parents who spend all their time cutting down their kids. And when all a child hears throughout their life is that they are bad and worthless and can't do anything right, guess what? They grow up and they think, I'm bad, I'm worthless, I can't do anything right, and they give up. Christ-like love builds a person up. It doesn't tear a person down. Christ saw good qualities in people that others didn't. He looked at Saul, a man who had been responsible for the death and persecution of many, many Christians. And in Saul, he saw the seed of the man who would become his greatest evangelist. He looked at simple fishermen and workmen and saw that they could become powerful apostles and church starters. God, as our parent, sees good qualities in us that the world may not see yet. But Christ-like love recognizes the good in us and in other people and supports us to achieve those good qualities we want to see. The Christ-like love that you see in parents is shown when a parent encourages a child who's down on himself. Good parents understand how important that is. We need encouragement, and we need support from our parents, our spouses, and our friends. Life is tough. It's hard, and we need that kind of Christ-like love to get through our day-to-day problems.